Welcome to Kevin, who most of us already know, given that he's been a member here.
My father built an aviary for me. We had dualies, stars, longtails and canaries, and then I had another smaller cage with my callers and brace birds. I was netting goldfinches and spice finches, double bars, redheads, diamonds, all through the market gardens around Pesto, Panania, Greasby, Mulpera, Chippy Norton, all around that area. I'd done that till I was around about 14, and then I was in Bankstown Golf Course, and they reported coppers to me catching diamond sparrows. They put me in the back of a Mariah with me birds and me boxes and took me up to Bankstown Police Station. I told them one name and then I forgot what I told them. They asked me what my name was again. Anyway, they let me go and they said they'd be out to see my parents. They never come. Anyway, I left school at 14 and a half. And I left on the Friday and started in butcher shop on the Monday. And then I was just breeding birds from then on. And I was selling birds to a dealer who rang me up, and this is in 1960. Oh wait a minute, I'll go back a little bit. Oh yeah, I was in with a few people then in Adelaide. I used to go down to Adelaide, and Alan Williamson, that owned the South Australian Drug Company, he had a lot of birds. He had one of the biggest collections down there, and Wally Curl, he had the Grenadier Finches and everything down there, and when he lost the last of them, he had 5 cocks left. He sent them up to me and told me to just give them away. Well, I gave Gordon Lomas 2, and I gave 3 other aviculturists that show birds. I gave them 1 each of the 5 Grenadier Finches. Down at Alan's place, he had the giant cordons. I'd never seen them anywhere. They were as big as nuns.
It's just the purple.
This is the ordinary cordon, but the bigger one.
Sorry, but they talk about purple grenadiers.
The purple. Yeah, that one there. They're the ones he sent up me. 5 cockbirds to that. Yeah. They were the last he had. And Well, we saw, the first time I've seen him in Australia was Ken Wagland's at Finches 14. One of the aviaries we visited. He had quite a few pairs actually. I think he put out 4 or 5 pairs. And some young ones? Yeah. Well, those 2 blokes down there, they had a lot of stuff. I was going down there from late 50s to them, and staying down Adelaide the weekend on that and coming back. And then a few people, old blokes that used to go to school with my mother and father, they had birds. There was a bloke at Canterbury Road, and Lenny Wilcox and a few of the others. And we used to, when birds come in, they took me down to where they were. And we seen the black-cheeked waxbills, they come in, orange cheeks and senegals at this particular time. I bought 2 pair of senegals, I paid £35 a pair for them, and they bred like blazes. I was breeding anything up to 100 out of 4 pair a year.
So how were those, because there's a picture here of some black, I don't know if people have seen black-cheeked waxbills, because they're there you go. Yeah. So who was bringing those into the country?
Where I went to see those birds. Yeah. There was about 60 birds that come in.
But when's this in the 1950s?
Can I say something for a second?
Yes, Dan?
They used to come with pointers.
Anyway,
thank you.
When I went down,
that's all we need to know, is it?
He had about 2 dozen senegals there, and he had about 30 or 40 orange cheeks.
There's an orange.
And there was about 3 or 4 pair of those black-cheeked waxbills. That's what I seen in this particular time. They were a nice looking bird, but I wasn't interested in them. I got the senegals and I done well with them, and I was breeding quite a few of them. Pintail nonpareils, they come in 3 times, but they couldn't keep them alive.
Really?
They come into the country. The last time they come, the blokes who were getting them, they grew rice, and they thought they'd be able to survive on this sprouted rice. They still died. They just couldn't keep them alive.
They're still here.
Big one?
They're here. You're standing in front of the screen.
Oh, right.
No, but the non-pareils, they're here.
Yeah, well, I don't know how many's here, but before they couldn't keep them alive. The lavenders come.
The lavenders come 4 times that I know of.
the only person I knew that bred them was Bob Hewings at Beverly Hills. He bred 5. After about 6 months he had them, and then within 12 months the whole lot were dead, and I don't know anybody else that can keep them alive more than 12 months. They just died out.
Which is surprising, because only about 2 years ago I was in San Diego, and you know, dropped into just normal bird shops, and lavenders and orange cheeks were probably the most common birds there. Now, where they were getting them from, I don't know, but presumably they were, the orange cheeks, I believe they were breeding no problem, but I believe that, and I believe them, that they were breeding lavenders quite successfully without a problem. So why we had trouble here in Australia, I don't know.
And about the same, in the late 50s, the black-headed nuns in market gardens out around near the airport. I can't even name the place now where they were. But they come in on a truck, one of the trade boats, you know, bringing stuff in, cargo and that, and the box fell apart and they got it loose. The widers, they were up at, what was the name of the place? Cat Eye. They were at Cat Eye. And I know who got the last surname that were there, and that was Hayward Jarrett. Lived in 15 Warwick Street, Punch Bowl. He was a trapper, and in fact he built the double action nets I had to get the goldfinches, and he got the last of those. They were up there. The widow birds, they were up the other side of Hawkesbury. They were all through there. Georgie Cartwright's mate, just trying to think of the bloke's name now.
Are there any of those left? I believe the last one was recently died. Is that right? Gone now? Yeah. In Australia.
I can't think of his name. It was Georgie Cart. He lived near Georgie Cartwright. Georgie took me there. He had them. Who? Jack Eldridge, that's right. And he went down. He moved down the south coast to a farm, and he got. The creek come up and he got drowned. His car went into the water and got drowned. But I don't know what happened to the birds. He had them, but they would come from there, and apparently they were shooting from there one part of it. But the blue caps, they come in 1961, the first ones. There were 5 pair on a boat. Blake's dead now, I know him pretty well. He was hiding them in amongst his wife's washing on the boat. By the time they got to Australia, there were only 4 hens and 5 cocks left. All the passengers got off in Melbourne, and it was raining. He put a raincoat on after all the passengers went off, took them out under there, put them on a plane, and rang somebody up in Newcastle to pick them up for him. And that's how they got here. That was those. The Rosie Rumson, Sundervells and all that other stuff, they were coming in the early 50s. What do you got there?
Well, I don't know, I think that might be Senegal.
That's the Senegal. Yeah. The Senegals never had bars across here like the St. Helena, and they were black on top of the tail, but they were terrific little breeders. The way I bred them, I grew that barn grass in the aviaries and had sprinklers on the top, because what I found out from somebody overseas when I went to England, to a place there that somebody that wrote books on African birds, I grew the grass, and when they built their nest, the bottom could only be 2 inches off the ground amongst the grass, and that was the way they bred. And I found the strawberries bred like mad when I done that too. But I bred them quite a few years, and then somebody broke in and swiped the parent birds for 21 young'uns I had there.
Oh, sorry, what was the name of the boat? Yeah, there's a few Senegals around, a few people have. What was the bloke who spoke at Finches 14 on all the African finches? Because there was an amazing number of different species of St. Helena looking birds, wasn't there? Quite a huge range of species, all over, from all different parts of Africa, from the tropical areas to the desert, to everywhere else, and it was, But I mean, I think the reality is, a lot of the other, including those, to me they look like a sort of a shitty saint.
Oh, they're beautiful. A lot smaller than saint, they're very small.
The ones I've seen, they look like sort of...
when you went in the aviary,
saints.
if you had young'uns all flying within 2 or 3 days, they'd drag their tails like that, and they'd get all the young'uns back in the nest while you're in the aviary. When you first went in for the first 2 or 3 days, they'd done that. And then in then I got into, a dealer rang me up and wanted some green strawberries, and other finches I had there, and I took them all over. He let them all go and then tried to drop the price to what he told me. I had a blue with him, he told me to catch the lot up and take them home. And next day I'm at work, National Parks come out to home and going to prosecute for dealing with our lice. They don't know these birds, only these birds I breed. Anyway, I had a fair idea where it was, so what I'd done, I took the licence out in November. I got birds from the Queensland before the trap was losing closed, got them down, put them in ages down behind the others, and nobody knew I had them. And then by the time I got okay from the council for the ages and things where I was going to sell from and everything else, I opened up in March, a day and a half a week. After 6 months I was making more money than working for the boss. I've been working for 10 years, I said I'm giving work away, I'm making more money selling birds. So we started in March '68, selling them, you know, out of the yard. And I was buying birds, Ray Edward, no Joe Long. I got them from Joe Long in '68, '69. And then a chap that worked for the department over there, he come over to get some foreign finches off me, and he said, the amount of finches you're taking, why don't you do it with a trapper? And I said, I don't know. And he said, I'll send you a list of 3 or 4. So he sent it, and one rang me, and he says, how many would you take? And I said, what price can you do? And when he told me, at half what I was paying, I said, I'll take every bird you can get. So he stuck with me right through to 1983. I got a few off him in '84, but in '83 he threw a drum of fuel up on the truck and come down and knocked 3 of his fingers off.
Is this bloke, Les Wild?
Les Wild, yeah.
Yep.
And what happened, it was hard for him to trap the birds, and then he said he'll put me onto another trap to give me the birds, which he did. And I got the rest of them off the other one. I got 3 or 4 lots off Les in '84 and the rest from the other chap. The most birds in buildings I got off Les was in 1972, I got over 4,000. Yeah, I got over 4,000 off Les then.
Can you read?
Yeah.
So 2,000 Gouldians, 1,000 stars, 1,000 longtails, 500 basses, 800 pictorellas, 1,000 bloods, 800 plain rump double bars, 200.
But the bloods, I think you only got 400 or something bloods that time.
That was the number that you could get, not necessarily the number you got, is that right? You had a license to have that to get.
Yeah, and then when I use that up, I get another permit, so and that's what happened. He was, the boxes, our friend over there, he built them for me, and I used to hold nearly 500 finches.
Who's that?
Stan.
Stan the guest?
Yeah. They were 3'6" long and 2 foot wide and a foot high. And they used to hold roughly 500 birds, didn't they, Stan?
Is he offering to build some of those carry cages for the sale in December?
But you were surprised how many used to fit in them, weren't you? Yeah, and they had a thing on the edge, you'd open that and they'd all fly out. And we were getting all sorts of birds. And where he was getting the stars, that was the other side of Fitzroy Crossing. He got a lot of yellow-headed stars in amongst them from there. One batch that come through, there's about 40 or 50 yellow-headed stars in amongst the reeds. But 2 or 3 times got those there. The Gouldians, when they come, there was more hens and cocks in them. A big percent, the largest percentage were blacks. You didn't, and you get a few pairs of reds, and the rest would be red cocks. And I've never seen a yellow Gouldian in the wild. None of them come with yellow beaks or anything. And I handle a lot of birds for what Les was giving me.
So what percentage of redheads versus blackheads would you say?
Oh, I reckon 10% reds if you're lucky. But, you know, in pairs, but you get a lot of cocks in the reds, but the blacks would be a lot more hens.
Did you ever see any mutations at all?
Not in the wild. But
Hawks there.
big one?
Hawks there.
Oh yeah. No, didn't see any mutations in them. That's the Gouldians were just coming through thick. Stars, I used to get a lot of stars. Fair few pictorellas. Masks, a lot of masks. And I was getting a lot of stuff like that. When I first did start out, I used to do a run. I'd leave and go up the Gold Coast, stay at the Red Lion Hotel, and then I'd cut in through Ipswich, pick birds up Ipswich, Toowoomba, Warwick, 10 afield, and then it'd be 8 o'clock on the Monday night, I'd leave and drive straight through to Sydney with all the birds. And I'd done that for a couple of years, and then I struck a big fog at Musselbrook, and I was flat out getting through the birds, didn't know I was going to make it. I never done it again. I had trappers trapping in North Queensland. I had 3 up there. Billy Stewart got more for me than anybody else up that way because he'd get a good mixture. But he got a lot, mainly Parsons and white-eared masks and all that stuff, a few endlers and that. But where I was getting another lot of birds was from Mount Isa area. I had a Joe Coyne up there. He was getting me endlers, stacks of endlers every Thursday. Boxes and boxes of birds that come through from that area. And I was getting endlers, girlians and hex longtails from him. And he rang me one day and he says, the bloke up here reckons we can send you spinifex. I said, you can't, they're not allowed to come out. He said, yeah, the bloke that does the permits told me we can get them. He said, get a permit. So I got a permit for 60 spinifex. Anyway, the permit got issued, they're on their way. I get a phone call from Brisbane, I'm not going to bring the birds through. I said, a bit late, they're on the plane. And they issued the permit that should have been issued, and I got 60 spinifex through. But the Joe Coyne, these blokes were trapping for me right at the time the trapping stopped in Queensland, and I just concentrated then on the Finch blokes in tails of like 500 off another trapper. There was 3 of them up there I was getting birds off, just topping up what he couldn't get. Because some areas, if he got into birds and they were thick, he knew that I'd take them, he just kept catching them. And that's the deal we had. And I had a good deal with Ansett. I was getting 40% off the freight. And the empty boxes, these big boxes standing made, they only cost me $20 to send them back. That's the deal I with the airline. And
one species I met was yellow rumps in the WA, because I see a lot of photos around Wyndham.
What happened
so many on your paperwork.
In 1982, the Gourlians up on the Ord River, where the cotton fields are, they poisoned 11,000 Gourlians up there. And that's why the trapping got stopped with Gourlians in 1983 from up there. They weren't allowed to trap them. Up where the yellow rump area was, they sprayed poison bird feed out for a rat and mouse plague in the area and wiped nearly all of them out. But there was a lot. I bought yellow rumps up from Adelaide. I got him, bloke had them up there, and then a few blokes I gave them to around Padstow Breeze in Milperra. They were breeding a fair few of them, and I built them up, and then the bottom dropped out and that, but they were nearly all over red ones. So there's a few come over in the wild, but not many. But no, we'd done that right in 1984. I had a trapper over there getting the parrots, the red caps and the Stanleys and that. He was with me all the time, and when I was operating from the yard, somebody wanted white-tailed blacks. I brought a few of them over for him and stuff. But Kruger up there, he sent that bloody big geese from North Queensland. He sent some of them down the tea chest. Somebody else wanted some of them. Yeah, they come down. No, we were handling all kinds of things, and then when Canterbury Road, where we were operating from, was becoming a freeway with the traffic, well, that's when I bought the butcher shop up at Revesby Heights. I bought the property there, and I had a bloke working there. He was an aviculturist. He worked on the shop from end of November right through to March, till we had it set up the way we wanted it. And I had Les Turner put all the aviaries in. All the cabinets were made out of metal on wheels. You could wheel them out the back and hose them down. We had a big area there we could hose them all out. But all the cabinets, everything was made in metal. We had vinyl tiles around all the aviaries in that shop and around the cabinets, and the shop was carpeted in the shop. All the parrot cages were right down the centre of the shop. We put all the parrot cages down along there because we used to bring a lot of young corellas, little ones that were just only eaten, and that's all. I'd only handle them for about 2 or 3 weeks, and after the market had gone, then I wouldn't handle no more.
Now on the trapping side of it, like when we were just talking about the yellow ones, now obviously they're a lot killed when they poison.
We don't know
whereas they're all back now.
I don't know what's up there.
What's your view on the effect that trapping had on the numbers of finches?
I don't think it affected them. I think the Gourlians are thicker now than they've been up there, and a lot of the birds, even in North Queensland, the birds are thick. But, you know, the stuff was coming from everywhere. You know, the bloke out of Mount Isa, he was getting buildings and all from in there. But that was
And they never made a comment that they were running out of them?
No.
It never was any different the next year than it was the year before?
No,
unless they poisoned them.
The chap that was getting the buildings, I said to him, what about the coloured ones? He lets them all go because he said they were still breeding. He let the coloured ones go. The stuff I was getting was only just a little bit of colour on them. And, well, you could sex them, you know. They used to sell like hotcakes like that. Everybody knew they were getting young birds. But that's what the olders used to do. But when I opened the shop, of course, we were handling everything. Then I had people in Adelaide, they were buying birds just for me. The bloke down there, and all the birds come through every Tuesday night. Boxes and boxes of finches. And then I had somebody up around Rockhampton, was 10 avicultures up there sending all the gear through to me. But I was picking up a lot of finches. Tommy Gibson, so I'd be up there, and there'd be anything up to 16, 18 blokes bring all their birds there, and when he died, I was picking them up at Gordon Lane.
And what about the foreign birds? Where were you getting, like I noticed, we've got some here, these violides, where they come from?
Violides, they come in before I was...
Right, a long time before.
I don't know, yes. The parrot finches that are in Aves are pure, and they're not the Australian one. In that book that the aviculture mob put out in Brisbane, the Finch mob, they put out they only have 3 to 4 eggs. I've had anything up to 7 young in the nest, 6s and 7s, and they are pure parrot finches. National Parks have taken me off in 1974, going to have a go at me on it. I got them identified, and then I sent some out of the country to test them. They weren't going enough to touch them, and the bloke I sent them 2 bred some yellow ones.
So this is the blue-faced parrot?
Yeah, blues.
So the ones we got now, aviaries, are for Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, I mean,
not from here.
They were coming down by, you know, cargo ships and stuff in the late 40s and 50s. Then national parks, all the breeders weren't allowed to keep them up in Queensland. So I sent some up to Ernie Innes at Rockhampton, some up to Barry Grenada. I sent them down about 4 or 5 pair each with a copy of where they've been identified. And the authorities up there were going to seize them. They backed straight off as soon as they seized that they weren't Australian. Anyway, 6 months later they opened it up for all the aviculture to keep them up there. But they got them registered anyway. I found the original identification where I got it done. So I've sent it up to them only a few months ago, and I said, you should take them on this. I said, because they're definitely not the Australian one. I've got photos of the Australian one. A friend of mine up there they're a different bird altogether. About that. I don't believe they even found them or seen them up about in the 1980s. Did you hear that, Ray?
No, I haven't seen them.
You didn't see them? No. Well, John, he knows where they are, but they shift. But you don't see many. You might see 6 or 7. And they're with redheads, feeding on grasses. The photos he sent there, the Melbourne photos of them.
He's referring to John Griffith, who's the president of the Far North Queensland Bird Brood State. Who's the bloke who's doing the building work at the Mareeba wetlands, you might have heard, who's released birds there, and they're now...
No, they haven't released them yet.
I mean, in the past they did.
Yeah.
And they've now got another program going where they're building big, huge aviaries.
The government's gave him now 100,000 for the abos of Aborigines. To build a big aviary over about an acre of ground. And they're going to put they've got to be in cages up there now, so about between 600 and 800 buildings up there now he's got, that he's been feeding for 12 months nearly. They're going into this aviary for 6 months or 12 months, then they're going to release them. But he's been doing all the work with the palm cockies. He's got photos of them with eggs in the nest, eggs just hatching. He's done all that, and we've got it all on film.
And a bit of work with Brian's Paradise.
Young ones just hatching from the nest. We've got the young ones just hatching from the nest. I've got photos of that. He sends all this stuff down to me, but I went up there and he took me around all the leading areas in Queensland, North Queensland. By gee, I'll tell you what, they've got some parrots up there. But
what are these ones?
These fields. Yeah, they're Fields parodies there in Fiji. I had some of them breeding. Some of the parrot fishes in Fiji, you've got 3 or 4 tribes there. You've got the pearls, you've got the reds, you've got blues off one of the island with white beaks, and you've got a black one. There's a black-faced parrotfinch over here.
We were trying to look for it, weren't we? We found this bloke, I can't remember where that's came from.
No,
the one's called a, what was it? Was it a red-billed parrotfinch?
Yeah, the one that they've got is black right back to there, and the blue face of it comes back to there, the blue, like the ones here, and his beak's snow white. Yes, they had 6 of them in Cooler Bird Park the last time we went over to have a look what they got there.
Now what did we show about this bloke? This is the, I think, Royal, the Vanuatu one.
No, these Royals, they were in the country in the early 40s. Ray might know a bit about them. Did you hear
they're from Vanuatu, is that right? Is that the Royal?
They were in, and apparently the authorities collected where they collected anybody that had them, and they were taken back. But I believe there were about 30 or 40 come in, and within 6 months they got them and took them all back.
What year was that?
It was sometime in the 40s, right? One of the biggest Finch dealers, Ray might have known her, was Mrs. Patel. Did you know Mrs. Patel from Alice Street, Lakemba? She was a massive big Finch breeder. Anybody else here know her? You knew her.
I would sell the papers. I used to go and buy summer grass out, I'd go and pick summer grass out of Rosalie, golf course and get 10 cents.
She had big ovaries all over the yard.
It's still in the bag, yeah. Summer grass.
But she had big ovaries all over the yard. She was a big Finch breeder. Dealer. She used to deal in Finches. Hayward Jarrett, he was one of the best trappers around. For Finches, he was a marvellous amount of Finches. My uncle used to take over to Chelsea's every Thursday night to sell the goldies and spices that I caught and stuff. And then a couple of times I got a lot, and he couldn't handle me. He'd only take 200, and I'd have to hawk them down to wards at Newtown and Railway Bird Shop, they'd take them. A couple of times I went over to Stan Clifford just with redheads and double bars. He was interested in taking that stuff off me, but I didn't worry too much. The blue breast, Rosie Rumson, Sundervales, they come in the late 40s and early 50s. They come into the country, and a lot of green squirrels were coming with them.
The Sundervales, I believe, a little bit like St. Helena as well.
Yeah.
So how many of these came in, the blue breast?
I would never clue. Not many people had them. I said
everyone I know who's ever been to South Africa says they're just everywhere.
Tommy Gibson had them.
They're the most common.
There was 3 of them up there that I know that had them. And then at the end, when the blue caps were dying out, the hen, and they couldn't get hens, they put the blue breast hens over them, and then they started putting the cordon out and they bugging them up. The proper blue cap's about half the size again as what they are today in the aviaries. They just lost it. But you know, the stuff that was coming was really nice birds coming in. But the ones that Alan Williamson had, you'd go to his place, and I'm not joking, the aviary would be over about 3 acres, 1 aviary. He'd have these garden seats in there, you'd sit down, he'd put a wheat bag on the ground, a couple of wheat bags, and put all his live food on. He'd sit there and keep still. All the finches and stuff would come down, the quail finches, everything. Pick them up and bring them all back. Well, he was, at one part he was bringing the foreign finches in, and he was lighting fires on the beach. It was common knowledge in the papers. He's lighting fire on the beach, and the boat would flash a light, he'd go out in his boat and get them. Then the authorities were on him, they chased him for about 7 or 11 days, something through all the swamps up there, and he had, I don't know if it was an island girl or an Aboriginal girl in the boat with him. They finished up catching him, but there was some funny blokes up that way. The things that used to go on, you know, up there, Jesus. But,
Still goes.
no, you know, and then when I got the shop I was concentrating on just the foreign finches mainly, and parrots. That's all I was concentrating on because I was flat out, you know, with what I had.
So that's, if you don't know, it's a quail finch. How many of those came in? I'm sure I saw them when I was a kid in some deal. They were way out of my price range.
Alan Williamson,
and they looked a bit, you know, probably if I'd had
Alan Williamson had
the
about,
money to buy them, I probably would have bought other things, to be honest.
Alan,
Not knowing what they were.
Alan Williamson would have had 12 pair all told that I seen. There was another chap, Ray knows him, up the other side of the pub at North Banks down there. He had quail chickens. I think he lives down the coast now. He had them. He used to work on the wharves, right? Yeah, he had them. He had them up there, Banks down there. There was another bloke had them. I only know 3 people had them. But they had them, you know, quite a lot. But a lot of the people today, I reckon the breeders back then, they were breeding more birds than what the aviculturists are today, but I think we're just jiggering them up, giving them all this antibiotic and everything else is giving the birds, it's buggering their kidneys up, and I don't think you're breeding anywhere near the amount that they used to breed. Like Dr. Lippner, when he got killed at the train, he was helping me for 3 years on the birds. He was in charge of the poultry part of Glenfield. He'd be open my place 3 days a week. And he said the less medication you give the birds, the better. And we concentrated on that. I was using hydrated lime on the floor of all the dirt aviaries where I was breeding birds. That was for worm. Don't give them nothing for worm. I didn't lose any birds with worm. And you know, we were trying to do without antibiotics and stuff, and I found the birds bred a lot better. And you know, one bloke was supplying me with birds in one area. I was getting 700 finches every 2 or 3 weeks, every 2 months of him, and they weren't getting any dope at all. But the main thing is with finches, when you breed them, you've got to change them over after every 2nd or 3rd breeding season, and keep young ones back and offload the others. If you do it every 2nd or 3rd year, they've got another year that they'll breed. So anybody gets it, they'll still get next to 2s and maybe a 3. You know, at least they're getting some young ones. But you've got to change them around. You know.
Now what about the exporting?
So I started, Peter Coyle from New Zealand come over in 1972. He was the one that taught me to doing some exporting. I exported birds from 1972 to 1995, and I'd give it away after that. But I was sending, I had a shop in Germany that was getting birds off me, a hotel in Seychelles Islands. They were getting a lot of birds. I don't know what they were doing with them on a bloody island, but they were getting, I didn't care as long as they paid me. I sent birds to Belgium. I had 3 shops in New Caledonia getting birds off me. I had quite a lot in New Zealand. A lot of stuff was going over there, but I didn't send the D birds over. I only sent like Ruddy's corns and Melbas and all that stuff that was, once the market gets flooded a bit, I'd move them out so to stabilise the market, and that's what I was doing.
What about the bulbul story?
Oh yeah. dealer in New Zealand wanted some, he was getting a lot of birds on this bloke. He had 2 outlets, they were a big setup over there, and 2 of the biggest. He wanted bulbuls, so I said, yeah, I could buy them for $8 a pair, $4 each. I says, I'll pay the freight, $20 a pair. So anyway, I'm getting 60 put in a tea chest and sending. He got 4 lots, and then the authorities stopped them from going, and they found out they were a pest species. Anyway, then somebody come from New Zealand, one of the aviculturists over there, come to get an order and come to the shop to see me, and talk to me about these birds that bloke had, the bulbuls. 360 a pair he had of them. I wasn't too happy. He would have gone for 25.80, he was going to sell it for that. But, oh, we had some fun. You know, we went to a lot of countries, Barbara and I, and when we went to Singapore, I got the surprise of my life. I went to a dealer's there, and I'm not joking, more Australian finches and parrots in his shop than anywhere else, but all the parrots had oversized rings on them. And I says, where the hell are you getting them all from? They were getting a drop every 2 weeks from Indonesia. That's how he was getting them.
Sorry, what country was that?
That was in Singapore.
Oh, Singapore.
Yeah. That surprised me. I went to Southern Aviaries in England. On another trip we went, I went early before I knew about, I went in the early 60s there, to Southern Aviaries. I went to Belgium. I met Franz Bellikens there. He's one of the biggest dealers in Belgium. The big market in Belgium is one of the biggest in the world. You've never seen so many birds. There's 5 acres just chock-a-block full of birds. All the dealers, everybody, they're selling birds, but it's massive. And birds you've never seen here, they got them all there. The prices, I couldn't believe it. Some of the prices were way under what they were worth here in Australia and stuff. you know, there's very little birds that'll be worth money over there, Australian birds. If you're going to send finches out, there's very little that could go. They got them cheaper. I got a price was sent to me from, I think it was Singapore or Malaysia, and I'm not joking. The birds were cheaper than I could buy them here. But this deal was offering me from there. So, you know, there's not much market there for birds, really. There's only certain parrots that might be a goer, because they've got nearly everything. Majors would probably be good. A few of the rarer ones, but there's a lot of stuff that, you know, stuff they got a lot cheaper than here. You know, they got it all. But yeah, well, we went to a lot of countries and things. Dave and I, over in Namibia, we seen blokes there and a lot of birds in the wild. They took me to show me what was there. But no, there was a lot of birds there. But New Zealand, I've been there a few times on that. But I was a lot of the stuff that was, I'm going back years now. Stuff was going out of the country to New Zealand and they could send it anywhere, but you know, like the old bloke that was bringing in the red-faced parrotfinches in the 50s and 60s, he got caught. When he faced the judge was a bird bloke from East Hills, he was fined £5. That's a fact. And he was bringing roughly 60 to 80 in every time the ship come in, and chook eggs are worth big money over there, very expensive, so he filled the boat up with bloody dozens and dozens of crates of chook eggs and take back. But yeah, he finished up living in Australia and he's dead now, but he was funny. These Frenchmen, they don't carry a wallet, they carry the money in their socks rolled around their ankles. When you buy birds or anything, they pull the money out of the socks to pay you. But, no, as far as, you know, a lot of the birds, wouldn't matter what it was, in the 40s and 50s, they were just, the people were just bringing them by boat. Nobody was worrying much, you know, and the stuff was just coming.
Because there's no drugs now,
no, nobody worried, you know.
There wasn't all this quarantine concern, none of that. Yeah.
What about the painted lovebirds?
Yeah, Karakarikis. The red Karakarikis.
That was about 1977, yeah, 77, 78. A bloody blonde woman coming crying. And she's got 2 boxes of birds. One lot's coloured, then the breeders, and these half-coloured ones. And poor daddy's died, she told me. And she says, I said, what are they? I've never seen them. South American parrots. And I thought, Christ. Anyway, she's got a receipt where she's supposed to board them from. So I went inside and I rang Kerry. I knew Kerry Mueller down Toronto, so I rang him. He come from over there where they are. I described them to him and he says, yeah, that's them all right. So then I rang Disney and I explained the colour, the size and everything else. He says, that's them. So I went out to her and she told me the price and I normally break my legs getting to the money. Anyway, I said I want a receipt. And she said, you want a receipt? And I said, yes. So she wrote out the receipt and I said, and I'll take that other one where you bought them from. I took the 2. Anyway, I rang a couple of people up that knew had money. Bus proprietor and plumbers and God knows what, ones that I used to come, you know, prepared to pay anything for them. And anyway, they were all coming in and like, oh geez, you want to hold out and get a good price and those, yeah. Anyway, in comes Ron Hardy, the plumber, at about 4 o'clock. He says, Christ, they're nice going, aren't they? And I said, yeah, Ron. He said, what do you got in the water? Connie's crystal? I said, no, why? He said, the water's purple. I said, I went my hand and run it over and all the paint's coming off the So I rang Bill Menzies, he was the sergeant down at Reesby, and Billy says, you fair dinkum. Anyway, within a half hour, the bloody TV channels, radio, everybody's there, the coppers, the techniques, front page of the bloody telegraph, their own bloody words. Anyway, Phil Dable, I used to do a bit of business with Phil Dable in Melbourne, and Phil rang me, he said, I think I know who's got you. there was a mob putting big ads in the Telegraph, in the Herald I think it was, full column ads of all these rare birds, parrots and finches and God knows what. Do you remember that, Ray? Anyway, they were putting it in right throughout Australia, and they get all the money for the birds, but they nobody got the birds. The fraud squad went through and couldn't touch them because they had it all entered in a book. So anyway, I found when the copper says, "Oh, this accuracy costs a lot of money involved." I said, "Don't care, get them." So they went down there, and they reckon they hadn't been to Sydney, so they got handwriting experts in, and they had been to Sydney. So they brought them back to Sydney. We got them into Bankstown Court, and they had barristers having a go at me, reckon I was a cheat, handing large sums of cash. And I said, yeah, but I get a receipt for everything I laid out. So that's how it went, and they were found guilty, and they were let out of $5,000 bail each and fled the bloody country. And there was a row kicked up in Parliament about it because I was the only one that had enough to convict them of what they've been doing throughout Australia with different things. So anyway, I said to the cops, I said, what the hell can I do now? All this money I've outlaid. And they said, we've got to get the driver of the vehicle. And I said, Christ. So anyway, they ring me about 3 months later, they got the driver, working down Mother Cellar in King's Cross. Anyway, they got him into court, and he admitted she was an artist. She painted him in a motel at North Sydney. And, yeah. Anyway, he was found guilty, and he paid some of the money off. The rest, they garnished his wages, and took 3 years, and I got all the money back. And when he was found guilty and everything else, they ran out of charges. He's been on fraud, in jail for fraud throughout Australia and everything. The whole bloody family were crooked.
Clever, right?
Yeah, so that happened with the painted birds.
What did you pay for it?
Fair bit.
That's a very similar story.
New Zealand price list.
That's why I wasn't letting them go. I didn't care what it cost chasing.
That we belong to a Probus Club, and they told us a story about these gangs of people who will come and paint your house or offer to put asphalt and all that sort of stuff. But they're basically European or UK gypsy type families, and when they finally get them and get them into court, they get fined, but instead of going to jail, they voluntarily leave the country. So it sounds like you might have been the first one taken up by that sort of.
Well, I had another bloke come in. This is another one. He come in and give me $2,000. He wanted $10,000 worth of birds, this bloke. Anyway, I thought, Jesus, this is a good one. Anyway, I got 5 grand's worth, half his order, and I said, there's half of it. So he come, he said, I had a chance to get the bank to give me a cheque, and the bloody thing bounced. He had no money, this bugger. Anyway, I got him into court. First off, when I found out he had racing pigeons. So I got to seize all his racing pigeons. I did, and then he got somebody else to say they were their pigeons in his name. And I knew the bloke started, the one that said they were his birds. They weren't his birds at all, but anyway, I couldn't do much about it. Then he had to pay me off. I got 3 instalments of the money, and then the next thing, the bugger's gone bankrupt. Everybody was into him, and then all the dealers and neighbours get knocked off all over Sydney. Andrew's bird shop got done over, and he'd give me the details of a few of the birds that got knocked off. Anyway, in comes a bloke that I knew pretty well. I've known him for years, even before he lived up there. When he was young, he'd taken one of the Meredith girls out that he married, and I knew he had none of these birds. And I says, what? I said, where'd you get this? He says, Keys. Well, bloody Keys was a bugger that caught me. Anyway, I says, I rang Andrew up and said, Andrew, I got one of your birds here. I said, I'll tell you, got your Keys. So the Keys was knocking the birds off left, right and centre everywhere. But he was knocking dealers off and that.
What about the story when you inadvertently started getting into selling fish tanks?
Oh, that one. Yeah, mob come from Mossvale and bought a lot of birds and give me a cheque. The cheque was no good. Anyway, the bloke doing the shop up at the time, I says, I've got a job for you to do on Monday, we're going up to Mossvale. He said, what are we doing? I said, going to repossess some stuff out of this shop. I went up and when I got in there, his missus only there, this bloke wasn't there. I says, Christ, I says, there's no birds, nobody left. I said, oh, that's all right. We had a van at the time. I said, we'll fill it up with fish tanks, we'll soon get our money. So, I said to the woman, I says, we're getting into fish in a real big way. So we carried all these tanks out, and lights, and filters, and Christ knows what. Filled the car up, and she's ringing up, and I said, oh, if only I can help you, just come back. And she's ringing it all up in the till seat. And when she told me, I says, now we'll pull the square, and I said, there's a check. She come out, she got the van as we drove off with all of here. There was another shop in Punch Bowl, a big shop there that was going to open up. They got me to, they had birds all down one side and fish that was going to open on the Saturday. They got the birds up on the Monday and gave me a check. Western Glass put all the fish tanks in, and the check come back on the Thursday, I think it was, referred to a drawer. He had no money at all, this bloke. Anyway, so I said to my brother-in-law, he's pretty big, John, I said, come on, I said, we've got a job to do tonight. I know the bloke that would be there, and the shop wasn't open on Saturday because they were doing it up. So I said, we're going to see the coppers and detectives at Bankstown first. So I went and told them, showed him what's happened. And up we go, and he says, you can't touch him, you can't touch him. I said, can't I? And I says, you tried to stop me. He says, I'm getting the police. He rang the police, and I said, if it's Kevin Devnie, we advise you not to try and stop him. So I just cleaned all the birds out and took them all home again. And that shop never opened. Western Glass, I tipped them off, they went and tried to get whatever they could, but all the wholesalers, every check would have bounced, they had no money at all.
So how many bird shops or shops, pet shops selling birds would there be, you know, in the early days? Because we were commenting, a few of us actually only over some of it during the week. Well, there was how few there are now. Yeah. Even normal pet shops that even sell a couple of bunches.
There was Dave Burnett. He finished about 10 months after I got going. He was finished. Ray, of course, was going. I was going. Star Aviaries were going. Stars opened about 12 months after I started.
But even the little blokes, even the little pet shops.
Oh, there was a few of them. There was the Pines at Parramatta. There was Mrs. Patel, Schultze.
Ace Tommy was open back in...
Kevin? What about Kevin?
Alan? Alan was 1949.
No, Alan started after me.
Alan Palmer.
He started later.
Later.
But there was also lots of backyard breeders then, like there was
Kevin Bound,
there was George Hughes,
yeah. Old, I can't think of the other bloke's name,
but you know what I mean?
Wardrop,
there was lots of backyard dudes.
There was what's the names at Newtown, they were going, the Railway Bird Shop, yeah, they were going. There was one under there, and there used to be another one over the other side of the road, two there. Stan Clifford, of course, was going.
That guy at Mescal, Alexander, was he there?
No, they come a long way after that.
Bill Brewer, you remember him?
Who?
Bill Brewer from Corrie Fields.
Yeah.
He was come and gone.
Yeah. But no, there was quite a few handling birds then.
And then later on, there was all the little shops, like you were supplying toy fisheries or whatever it was called.
Pets International. Pets International, yeah, I was supplying those, a lot of the other shops.
Because a lot of those shops now, you know, I mean, they still exist, little pet shops in
they're gone to
Westfield, but they don't have any birds. No, very few of them have any birds at all.
A couple of canaries and budgies.
If that. If that, it's not have birds at all. Yeah.
Jimmy Hill in Melbourne, he owed me a lot of money, and I put that in the hands of a solicitor. My solicitor, he's a funny bugger solicitor, and he says, you've got to take court action here and then down there. I said, don't give a bugger. I said, he's not getting away with it. So when they went to serve the stuff on him, his wife panicked and wrote a cheque out, and the cheque bounced, so I took the children to court. And just as well I did, because he was bankrupt, and I didn't know this. Then he left down there and opened up in Brisbane. And he was at a plane, taking seats out, smuggling birds to New Zealand, and the bloody door flew open, and he had to come back, and the customs picked him up with birds on the plane. That's what happened there.
They're all shocked.
Almost flew.
Yeah. But I look this way, if you let them get away with fairly big money, everybody will have a go at you, so I just took them on. So I'd just go in the shops and grab what I could, or if they didn't have the birds, I'd take the other stuff, sell it. Because when I told my solicitor, he says, "You what?" I said, "Yeah, I took all the fish tanks, I got my money." He said, "You're joking." Because he was a funny bugger, you know, when I got divorced that time. He said, he said, a lot of people come there after their business, and he says, "Don't sell it." He said, "If you need a partner," he said, "I'll come with you." I said, "No." I said, "Don't need a partner." But he offered to come in, John, my solicitor. But he was a really good lad.
What's that? Hurry up.
Anyway, that's about it, eh?
Well, the last thing I was going to ask you about is just a brief rundown of how the ABA, or it wasn't the ABA in those days, how that started.
In 1983, the government were going to come down on all foreign birds in New South Wales. And I'd only been married to Barbara 2 years at the time, and she says, "Like hell they are." And I says, "What do you mean?" She says, "Oh, it's not fair." She says, "People with few bleach faces, and they're going to come in." She says, "No way." I said, "What are you going to do?" She said, "I'm going to get everybody together." So she rang AFA, they were coming to our place. She rang Canary Cage Bird, Parrot Society. It was about 20 of them coming to our place on Thursday night and holding these meetings up, and she got things organised. She was, went over and seen the mob at the RSPCA, can't think of her name now, the woman, Marie, she spoke it there, and her father. She got members of Parliament there at the, organised and everything else. Then we done brochures. We were holding this big rally. Oh, we got all the bird clubs that were coming there, Canary Cage Bird and everything, all their members to send letters into the Minister. And we decided to hold this big rally. We hired Parramatta Town Hall, and it was on a Saturday afternoon, and we got over 3,000 people there. And the Minister, on the Minister's desk, Neville rang her up late in the afternoon and says, "You've stopped the legislation, it won't be going through in New South Wales." And it was after that we formed the ABA, and that was till all aviculturists. From then on, she, if there was trouble with councils and that, we'd take the councils on. She flew to Albury to fight the council down there and sorted all that out. That got stopped before they even took to court. She flew up to Cairns twice. Anybody that had more than, I think it was 30 birds or 30 pair of birds, I think they were going to make them have to pay $1,600 to get a licence to keep birds on the property. $1,600. So she knocked that on the head. Blackwater in Queensland, they were having trouble. Even people with 5 acres, they were only allowing a certain amount of birds. Anyway, she rang up and tried to sort the mayor out, and she had trouble there. He finished up losing his job. She went to somebody in Brisbane that was over the top of the mayor's, and he lost his job. Up in Cairns, when she sorted that out, that all got settled. Then fauna officers up there were putting their fingers, making the blokes let them in the ovens and put their fingers in the nest. Anyway, she got 3 sacked from up there, from Brisbane. She got in touch with Brisbane, they got sacked through the fauna blokes. I had fauna blokes give me a hard time at first. The silly buggers wrote a letter to me with National Parks and Wildlife letters, wanting me taxation returns, copy. Silliest thing they ever done. Because Pat Rogan and another politician went and we seen the director, they lost their jobs, and anybody else come to the yard wanting that information to refer back to the office to him. But they were giving me a bit of a time, and then I had trouble with Bennett. Coming there of a Sunday, I had to close the yard up one day because he was there. Stayed there for 4 or 5 hours trying to count the Western Australian finches.
Yeah, he got sorted out.
Yeah,
When someone put an ad in there about some birds that his property address for sale, I sat down there and fed some birds.
I told him he didn't have any jurisdiction. I told them they had no jurisdiction over Western Australian stuff because I paid a royalty. And I put it, when they were bringing over registration, I put a big sign up telling everybody not to worry about registration, they can't touch them. Anyway, they come there every week, 4 blokes, 2 of them, come take me to court. I said, take me to court. they found out later on that my uncle was a judge and he was advising me a bit about things. And, yeah, anyway,
particularly if he's the judge on your case.
anyway,
You weren't that lucky.
after a while, the director down there, I'm just trying to think of his name now, he got in touch with Pat Rowe and I had to come down, he wanted to talk. He says, we can't beat you. And I said, well, I can't write all the receipts out, it's impossible for the amount of birds I'm handling. So we come to an agreement, something was done, people could fill in the fauna books, the paperwork I just signed, and I didn't have to go in the fauna books, and that's how it finished. Because I was embarrassing the department, is what I got told.
Thank you, Kevin. Can I just say a couple of things, first of all, on behalf of our club, for all the work that Kevin's done throughout his life, and also his wife Barbara, who is ill at the moment in a nursing home. On behalf of the club, all the work that I know that Barbara did for many, many years with it was OGT originally, now ABA, is much appreciated by a lot of us, and a lot of the freedoms that we have in New South Wales, particularly in regard to keeping foreign birds, is not the same in some other states. And a lot of that is due to Kevin and Kevin's work, but in particular Barbara's probably written determination. So on behalf of the club, I'd like to thank Kevin, and if you'd let, I know Barbara probably won't understand, but let Barbara know too. And thank you very much for very informative talk. And